Hello, friends, comrades, hello, everybody. Just very briefly to say that I support absolutely everything that has been said so far. That's why I'm here. I think it's immensely important that those of us who are not classroom teachers support the NUT in this action. On no way must we allow the NUT to be isolated in taking any action against this testing or indeed the Key Stage 1 or the Key Stage 2 testing. Some of you will have noticed there was an election a short while ago, and who won exactly? That's an interesting question. As far as I remember, it was the Tories. I've tried to forget that, but in fact it has happened. And you will also remember that the previous Secretary of State for Education was removed on grounds of being toxic. That's not my word, I believe that was Linton Crosby's word. So he was removed because they wanted to put somebody in place who they thought was like more emollient, more kind of kindly, and that somehow or other she would be able to take the same actions as Michael Gove, but get away with it. And to a certain extent you have to say they have succeeded, because there was hardly a word in the whole of that election, in the election debates and the run-up to the election, education hardly featured. So what is taking place has taken place, if you like, under the radar. And so when and if this campaign, I shouldn't say if, when this campaign gets underway, the Tories will say they had a mandate. And that's partly because Labour left the vacuum. They didn't reply to the stuff that's there, this baseline testing and indeed the testing for Key Stage 1. Just a little moment of history. They managed to get into Key Stage 1 testing, the SPAG test so-called, spelling, punctuation and grammar, by a sleight of hand. There was a commission called the View Report. And that View Report was only supposed to look at assessment and accountability. And in April of the year that they brought it in, 2011, the year they did that commission, there was no mention of spelling, punctuation and grammar tests for 7 and 8-year-olds. No mention at all. But by June they had got it in without a single backup of any evidence from anywhere. And it was sneaked in and Michael Gove said, thank you very much. That has never been debated. Never been debated in the House, it's never been debated by the Labour Party, it was never on the plate. So what has happened that will affect every single child in school in England was never actually debated. So when the NUT take action, similarly obviously to the baseline testing as well, so when this testing takes place, we as parents, and I'm a parent, so when we take it, when the NUT takes action, we as parents, we have to support. We cannot let the NUT be isolated on this. This government, the Tories, the Tories, they know very well, they are very skilled at isolating unions when they take action. They will say that this stuff is for our benefit, and we have to reply as parents, no thank you. This is not what we want for our children. We do not want our children to be tested in this way, and for two main reasons. The tests themselves put the children under stress, they are invalid, but also because what happens with all testing is that it has a tailback through the education that the teachers are forced to give. Whether the teachers agree with it or not, the management in the schools come in and say you must teach to the test. That takes place in 9 out of 10 schools. The schools feel nervous because of this forced conversion that can take place, this forcible conversion to academy, where the upper echelons of the school will lose their jobs anyway more often than not. And in come these academy chains with no evidence whatsoever that forced academy conversion actually makes a school better or not. There is absolutely no evidence that turning a school into an academy, or indeed setting up of a preschool, will improve the school on those grounds whatsoever. There is no evidence, but they will use this. And so the NUT, we have to, I keep repeating it, we have to support the NUT, or indeed if any of the other unions support that as well, because they will become isolated and they will tell us it's for our benefit, us as parents, so that we supposedly know more about our children. You know, those of us of a certain age, we can remember the conversations that our parents had with teachers when they came to school, or indeed some of us with older children. We had good and open and decent conversations with teachers that didn't involve arriving at parents' evening and being told immediately that our child was a 1, 3, know, or a 2D asterisk 5 or whatever. We can remember, we just used to have conversations and we used to talk about our children. And they have prevented this from happening by numbers, literally by putting in the numbers. So it is fantastic to see you here today, friends. Absolutely wonderful to come with our children indeed as well, because we have to share this stuff with our children and say why it is crap, why it is rubbish, and why we are taking this action. Yes, indeed. This government has politicised our children and will pretend that they haven't. They will say that of course it's not political, but it is when you look at the knowledge content that they're asking for. Even indeed by saying that what they are testing is knowledge to what they call retrieval and inference, that's the jargon they use, they are indeed politicising our children by moving education out of the area of open inquiry and interpretation. This is absolutely crucial. They have politicised the nature of education by reverting to that retrieval and inference style education. And they will accuse us that we're against knowledge when what we are in favour of is inquiry and knowledge. They will tell us that. They are the ones who politicised it. We are entitled to talk to our children about it and explain this to them, and our teachers cannot. So that's another way in which we as parents have to support them. So I am, as I have said, 100% in support. I hope that my own union, which is the UCU, the College Lecturers Education, I work at Goldsmith, will support it as well, as indeed I hope the ATL will support it, and indeed every possible organisation. It is vital that this campaign stretches and we see it for what it is. It is in its own way a form of violence against children, and we will say that over and over again. Thank you, friends. Thank you.